I had extremely high expectations for the Hoka Mach X3, and it exceeded them in every measurable way.
Mach X3.
I'm honestly so excited right now. These were, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about this back in the studio, but these were my most anticipated shoe this year, I gotta say, because I tried the Mach X2 on foot, actually owned it for a day, just a day, and then it made my heel bleed. I tried to fix it, I threw everything at it to fix it, from moleskin to padded moleskin to band-aids, and it just did not work at all. So when they announced that they were going to keep the midsole the same, which is what I like so much about the previous version, I was really excited to try it out. There's just dog hair everywhere. This is the thing about dogs. Like, if you don't care about dog hair, it's fine. And I don't, overall. I don't care about dog hair. But good lord, do they give you so much dog hair. They don't even know that they're doing it either. They're just like living their life, shedding profusely, wagging their tails. They're looking at me off camera right now. So stepping into this feels a little roomier than the previous version, which is not a bad thing. In fact, probably it's a good thing. It was a really tight, volume-wise toe box, the previous version. That did feel nice. It felt dialed and like snug on my foot, which is not something I was expecting from the previous version. It being like a maximally stacked max cushion plated trainer. You wouldn't expect like such a racing type of fit from the previous version, but this definitely adds a little bit of room up here. Yeah, it's nice so far. Fits seemingly true to size. I know that Hoka could be a bit wonky, but like consistent and wonky. And normally they're a little smaller than other brands, but this I'm not finding that to be the case so far. So far this is locking down really nicely. I like the way that this is fitting in just initially. Hawk, are you cute? Strider. Yes. Today plan is get out for a run. It's not more complicated than that for the simple reason that I want to let the shoes speak to me and let me know what pace they want me to be going at. Let me know what type of cadence I should be running at, just to feel them out and exist along with the shoes. And so yeah, Hoka Mach X3, one of the most exciting shoes of the year for me personally. Let's go get it. Okay, I'm roughly a mile in. I'm settling into the run. It was a little bit of a rocky start with my soleus, maybe even something tendinal going on, if tendinal is a word, tendinish, tendinose. Well, the lateral side of my calf towards the ankle is displaying signs of hurt and pain, which is crazy because I thought that this was subsiding on Sunday when I ran in the Edge Tokyo. I wasn't really experiencing any pain. And then yesterday I had a day off, because Monday's my day off. So I loosened up the Mach X3, and that seems to have helped a little bit. So maybe I was just applying an awkward pressure onto the tendon. I mean, I could still feel where the pain is, but to a lower degree. So far in the Mach X3, it is like butter. This midsole, man. You know, I was worried that I had overhyped it to myself from last year, especially since, hi, how's it going? Especially since there's a helicopter, military one. You're gonna be able to hear it. I don't know if you're gonna see it. It's like one of those cargo military copters. Especially since I only had really like 1 or maybe 2 runs in the previous version before I returned it. I think it was 2 runs because I tried fixing it up with like moleskin and band-aid and such for the second run that I took it on. But still, like, I think it was under 10 miles because I was not running as much as I am now. So I loved it then, and was really desperately trying to make the previous version work for me, because the midsole felt a combination of the bounciness from Piba and almost like the relaxed nature of ground contact EVA. Now this has a rubber outsole, so you wouldn't, right, doesn't make sense that I would feel like I'm running on ground contact EVA, but it really did. I'm wondering if it's just the EVA being on the bottom and the bottom being so far from the top from where your foot's landing that just the stack alone made it feel like that. But yeah, it feels like a buttery smooth landing and transition. It's supposed to be a 5mm drop. I think I don't know, feels like a little more than that to me, but that could be as subjective as anything else, and it could just be because the foam is firmer in the back than in the front. That would create that feeling. But so far, yeah, and the further we're getting along here, the less pain I'm feeling in the side of my calf or tendon around the ankle bone. It's not none though, it's really concerning. Take this run really easy.
Smooth cruiser, impact diffuser, on our lens forever, running round wherever, endorphins or ecstasy in the match.
So far, so good in the Hoka Mach X3. It is tall, cushioned, bouncy, but not in a carbon bouncy way. In a very buttery, soft, smooth, cushioned, relaxed but peppy enough type of way. Perfect for a run like today. It is a little heavier than personally I would choose regularly, but it is overstacked. The upper is nice, it's cushioned. One thing I did notice is there's a little bit of proximity from my big toe to the front of the toe box that requires a bit more of a lockdown. But once you have a lockdown, it really isn't an issue. So far, at least, it has not been for me. What is an issue is the summer. Not that I should be praying for winter, because we all know how that goes, but it's hot. I don't come out this way a whole ton because it tends to end right when I'm starting to fall into the rhythm of the run. So there's just like at the end of this, a main road that has no sidewalk, and it's a fast one. And yeah, you just have to turn around. I mean, you could zip and zorp through a bunch of parking lots, but it also comes back to the same location as if you would have just turned around. Wonder what's in this like whole barrel situation. If anybody knows, let me know. So the Mach X3, feeling really good on foot. I think my pain is starting to fade a little bit, but it's also like moved to my glute. So I hope I'm not drastically overcompensating with my glute. I don't know. It was so fine on Sunday. I just really have to keep an eye on it. But I'm wearing very protective shoes and I'm going pretty slow. Just chilling. Tuesdays are typically so intense for me because it's my longest double of the week. And today is probably not going to be an exception. I still intend to get at least 18 in, whether that's 10 and 8 or 8 and 10 or 9 and 9 or even more miles than that, maybe, if I'm feeling up to it later in the afternoon. Yeah, despite the heat today, I am feeling really good. You get used to it as much as it's so hot and so miserable. You adjust, your body adjusts. There's a deer up here. Again, he's wagging. I don't know if that's the same as when dogs wag. Like, is he happy or is it like, hey, there's a guy that's coming to get me? Couldn't really tell you. But he's a good boy. Isn't that right, Mr. Buddy? Hey, it's okay. Oh, there's 2. There's a baby. Hi. Oh, there's 3. Hi. It's okay. What's up, buds? Hi. It's okay. Hi. Hi. Yeah. Yeah, I know you're a good boy. You're a good mama. That's a good mama. Good mama. Yeah. I choose to believe that the wagging is happiness, but you know, I'm not a naturologist. These deer are brazen. The reason I actually picked up the camera was to tell you that since you haven't heard from me in a while, it's a really good thing because I've been prioritizing finding the optimal pace range for the Mach X3. Swallowing my own sweat. Delicious. Does that count as a salt pill? So far I found that for today, in my current state of being and with the heat in context of all of the realities of life, it seems like this is happiest around 8:30 to 9. And I'm sure it could go slower than that. Haven't really dipped into slower than that, but as for faster, it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like heavy, or when I go to try to pick up the pace, it just doesn't want to come along for the journey. Like, to a certain point it will. Down to like 8:10, maybe 8, it'll come along for the journey, but if I press it to do more than that, I don't know, maybe it's my body. I feel really well rested though. Maybe this is just not what this is for. And that's okay. I don't mind that, because I've been really enjoying this run. It's a good thing I don't have any meetings this afternoon, because I'm already a bit over where I should be at this point, but sometimes that type of loss is more like a win. Losing track of time, getting into a flow state, living in one with the Tao. These shoes are really good. I'm just buttering along every step I take, saturating the ground bread with butter, toasting the earth with my butter shoes, spreading the joy of slippery, velvety, bouncy, buttery goodness. The asphalt, graceful, gracious, grateful. My feet flopping along like flapjacks in the breeze on this beautiful, balmy Rochester day, barreling along through the woods and the wilderness. Birds, just bird now. All bird friends leave, they fly away. Maybe I'm having a fever dream. Hello everybody, I am just getting back and cleaned and cooked from a 19-mile double day in the Hoka Mach X3, and you didn't even know that because I only recorded the first half of the day for the first 9 miles of it. The reason for that was I wanted to spend some time in steady state, and bringing the camera out with me often is a bit of a disruption because I'm setting up shots, I'm talking to camera. I get very easily distracted by people in their crew boats and, you know, dogs and such. And so I wanted to get some really good steady state miles, because how I felt in this shoot this morning warranted that type of even paced work. So without further ado, let's do some top-down specs, stats, analysis, fabric, midsole stuff. The laces are not serrated, but I found that they stayed tied pretty well and didn't have to fiddle with them too much, which, if you know anything about me, is a surprise and a really good sign in a shoe. Tongue is really padded. It's not gusseted. I know some people care about that. I do not typically care about that at all. And in fact, I think it was probably a good decision not to gusset the tongue, because often for me, that could lead to pressure along the arch, like digging in across the entire midfoot and creating, maybe not digging in sensation, but a tension that could create muscular fatigue. So whatever, it's not gusseted. I like it like it is. No issues with the tongue. And I was able to get a relatively good lockdown on the heel. The heel is an elf ear tab. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but this is the same heel construction and concept, maybe even the literal same heel that they use on the Rocket X3. And yet in this, it didn't give me nearly as much of an issue heel slip wise as in the Rocket. And I'll have to run in the Rocket again to get an analysis of why that is, or why I believe that is. Maybe, I mean, even the fabric feels the same, just to my own like tactile memory. But that's something to note. that I really didn't have an issue with lockdown in this. I mean, there was a little bit of slipping, but for me, that is absolutely every shoe. And so, it was moderate enough that I would consider it a non-issue. The material on the upper, forefoot area, I don't know what you would call this. I think it's an engineered mesh. It's just some sort of mesh. I don't think that most people are going to care what that is. It feels fine on your foot. And one thing to note, right, about me, I tried the Mach X2. I really liked the midsole a lot, like a lot of people. And then I was cut to shreds in the Achilles and literally bled all over the shoes, leading to me actually having to return them. Not before I tried using moleskin and Band-Aids and actually duct tape. I forgot about that. I literally tried to use duct tape to keep the moleskin and the Band-Aids attached to the heel where it was cutting me up. And there's just no, solving that puzzle. And so why it connects to the upper is I do think that they added a little bit more volume to the toe box in this, like vertical volume, which I think is a boon to its cause for the purpose that this shoe would serve in a runner's typical rotation. Like, they put a race fitting upper on the previous version of this, and the movement towards a more daily trainer style or relaxed mile style upper, not race aggressive upper at the very least, I think is a step in the right direction. And obviously that probably comes at the expense of some weight. So before I forget to bring up the weight, because I did weigh this earlier, it was 266 grams at its lightest. And I think it was 270 in one of the other shoes. So I think the right foot maybe was 270 and the left was 266, which is not as heavy as I was expecting. Didn't really have much to go on statistics wise when ordering this. I sort of found it on what looked to be a mom and pop website that just simply had this in stock and shipped it early, which I'm so grateful for. So that's the upper, the weight. Yeah, that's really all I had to say about the upper and the weight. The volume in the forefoot was a little bit taller than the previous version, and the upper is a little less racy. Oh, and there was one more thing. The similarity that I found to the Rocket X3 in the Mach X3 is that my toes were coming, my big toe, not my toes, not all of them, just my big toe was coming up, not hitting the front, but the medial side of the toe cap. And, it went away. But this is something that I want to keep my eye on as I review this over time. I'm going to be mindful of the fact that this did occur on both feet, right? So it's not a me thing, I don't think, but you could chalk it up to Hoka having a narrower fit. I did not find this to be a narrow fit. Generally, that was the only place that it felt like a narrow fit. So just on the medial side, my big toe rubbing here. But again, didn't cause blisters, it wasn't persistent throughout the run either. So don't worry about that if you were thinking that was an eliminating criteria. It's just something for me to remember to update you on in the future. So moving on down, this big orange goober, that's the PIBA. This through here, it's got the winged plate. It's plastic plate, not carbon. All of the white and green and spicy foam, that's EVA. And you could see that the PIBA comes out through the back here. So you're getting, it's primarily by weight, probably EVA, but it is a really nice midsole construction. Feels very stable, very planted, especially for its stack height. The listed stack height for the Mach X2 was 42 down to 37 for a 5 mil drop. I'm assuming that's the same because they said in their PR back at the TRE last year that the midsole is completely unchanged. So I'm assuming the stack height remained the same as well. Outsole is rubber. it's good enough for a dry day like today. I had no comments, no concerns on the outsole. Now, to be for the people that tend to rip off chunks of rubber on their heel, I know there's a bunch of people out there that do that. It is a separated, split heel like this, so that's something to watch out for those of you that do run into that issue. That's literally never happened to me, and it never will. So I don't. If that ever happens to me on a shoe, the shoe's defective. So I'm not too concerned about it. But if you do have that concern with shoes, maybe just pay attention to this or get it in hand in a store before purchasing. But again, this rubber is like really thick, so it'd be pretty crazy if this came off. There is a lot of exposed foam. It seems to be doing well so far, and it is EVA on the bottom, so it's going to be a little bit more durable than if it were an exposed PIBA. One thing to note on the run about the feel, and now I guess we could get into the sensation of running in this beautiful shoe, is that it felt like ground contact EVA. I think I commented on this out on the road, but the landing sensation, and I have not run in a ton of ground contact EVA, one development shoe that I cannot name, and one, the Kinvara, right? 15, not 16. I haven't run in the 16. Those are the two ground contact EVAs that I've run in the past resurgence of my running in the past 2 years. And this felt very similar to that feeling. And I like it. If you guys don't know what ground contact EVA feels like underfoot, I'm sure tons of you do, but if you don't, it feels like the slappiness of rubber is not there, and it feels like instead of landing on landing on rubber on foam, you're just landing on foam. I know that that's terrible. It feels a lot smoother. It's like if you had a plastic sheet over your bed and belly flopped onto your bed, that's not going to feel super pleasant, even though it's mostly foam. But if you had no plastic sheets on your bed and you belly flopped onto your bed, it'll feel a little bit nicer. It'll feel a little smoother. Again, not my best work on that analogy, but that's what ground contact EVA feels like underfoot. This isn't that. This is rubber, but it just felt so similar to it that I felt it was worth remarking upon. It is a buttery smooth ride. This is such an incredible ride that I don't even know what to say. I'm so looking forward to logging hundreds probably of miles on this. It was not a finicky shoe. It was comfortable at a variety of paces. I don't think this is going to have the biggest pace range out there, but I, on my afternoon run, was scared half to death by a extremely large barking dog in perhaps not the very nicest neighborhood, and I didn't know if it was on a leash or not, so I took off like a bullet and got this down to about 6 flat before the heat exhaustion took over, and it felt great. I felt like I was able to pick it up to that speed, but otherwise, throughout the duration of the morning and afternoon runs, I was feeling like it was capping out at around like 7:55, and today was a scorcher. It's like at least 90 outside, and I ran my runs at between 10 and 11, which wasn't terrible, but then again between 3:30 and like 5, and so hot part of the day for me. And you know what? It was a great run. Both runs were great runs, and it's because of the shoe. It's because of the Mach X3. I'm going to leave it there. I don't have really anything else to say, and I have chicken fingers in the oven, and they're probably going to burn if I don't get them out of the oven soon. So, and my dogs are outside. So there's going to be more content on this coming your way soon. I am super excited about it. I would take this for long runs. I would take it for daily pace. I would take it for anything except for a track workout. So, yeah, Mach X3, let's get it. All right. I appreciate your attention, and see ya.